These are every rank in the Astra Militarum, the Imperial Guard. Level 1, the Conscript. You're 16, you live in the lower decks of a hive city. That's a planet-sized urban structure stacked hundreds of floors high, billions of people packed into recycled air and artificial light. You've never seen the sky. The tithe comes on a Tuesday. The tithe is a tax every planet pays to the Imperium Empire, spanning 1 million worlds. Food, materials, manufactured goods, and people. Enforcers move through the lower decks with clipboards and shock batons. They're not looking for volunteers, they're filling a number. You're in the wrong corridor at the wrong time and your number comes up. By Thursday, you're on a transport with 400 other conscripts. Nobody talks much, some pray, some stare at the floor. The ship smells like recycled air and bodies and something chemical you can't identify. Training takes 3 weeks. You learn 4 things. How to fire a laser gun, how to dig a trench, how to march, and how to obey without hesitating. Then they load you onto a dropship. The planet has a designation you can't pronounce. A sergeant points at a tree line 300 meters across open ground and tells your platoon to take it. The soldier to your left is shaking. The sergeant gives the order, and everyone moves, and you move with them because the only thing worse than running toward the tree line is being the one who doesn't. Halfway across, laser fire cuts through the formation. The soldier to your left goes down, and you don't stop because stopping means dying. You hit the tree line, something comes out of the undergrowth, you put your bayonet into it and keep moving because there are still shapes in the dark, and the sergeant is shouting and you follow the voice. An hour later, it's clear. You're sitting in the dirt, hands shaking, laser gun across your knees. You're just glad it's over. It isn't over. Level 2, the Guardsman. 2 years in, you get paid 50 thrones a month now. The Imperium standard currency. It buys you extra ration packs and a slightly better sleeping position in the trench, which is about as good as things get at this level. When you're not fighting, you're waiting, and waiting is its own kind of miserable. Soldiers gamble with thrones, smoke glow sticks, cheap compressed tobacco that tastes like burning plastic but costs almost nothing, and sleep in shifts because there's never enough space. Some recite prayers to the Emperor, some just stare. The veterans are easy to spot because they don't do any of it, they just wait quietly, which is the most unsettling thing of all. 2 years of that teaches you things. You know corpse starch ration bars. The Imperium standard field ration, processed from organic matter including the dead, taste worse after 3 days in a flak jacket, but you eat them anyway. You know a laser gun charge packs last around 250 shots, so you start thinking about your next one at 250. You know which sergeant gets people killed through stubbornness, and which one is just scared and covering it with shouting. None of this helps though, because orders are orders. Commissars enforce that. They're political officers attached to every regiment, authorized to execute cowardice on the spot. 6 weeks in, a soldier in your squad breaks cover during a barrage. He panics, stands up, takes 3 steps. The commissar puts a bolt pistol round through the back of his head before he makes it 4. You don't flinch, because flinching is what commissars look for next. Level 3, the Sergeant. 5 years in, your sergeant takes a laser gun burst through the chest, and the lieutenant points at you before the body's cold. That's the whole promotion process. 12 soldiers, you learn everything about them fast, who freezes, who covers for who, which ones go reckless when scared. 2 of them always deploy together, and one day that's going to get one of them killed. You can see it coming, and all you can do is put them in positions that delay it. The order comes to hold a manufacture room, a massive industrial complex against a chaos assault. Chaos is a corrupting force from an alternate dimension called the Warp. The soldiers who serve it get twisted, bodies mutated, minds broken. Promethium is the Imperium standard fuel, and it burns everywhere in a manufacture room. Which means when the fighting starts, everything burns. You're given 3 floors and told relief is 12 hours out. The first wave hits within the hour. You pull the squad to the second floor and set heavy weapons on the stairwells. It holds until a Chaos soldier gets through a side entrance and your eastern position takes casualties before you can redirect. You hold the floor, but you lose 3 people doing it. The 2 soldiers who always deploy together were covering the eastern stairwell when the Chaos soldier got through. One of them takes the shot, the other carries him down 2 flights and out through the loading bay and comes back alone 20 minutes later. He doesn't say anything, you don't ask him to. By the time relief arrives, the place smells like promethium and blood. Level 4, the Lord General. 23 years in, you're 39, you command an army group, millions of soldiers across a war zone that's been running for 8 years. You don't go to the front anymore, you sit in an underground briefing room with 3 meters of ferrocrete between you and the artillery above. Every morning the Vox officer reads the casualty count before anything else. 3,900,000 dead across all engaged regiments. You listen and move on to the next item. Today, an officer is mid-report when the Vox crackles. Chaos forces have broken through the northern line and are pushing toward a civilian transit hub. That's a large shelter, 40,000 civilians inside. Your nearest regiment is 6 hours away. The Chaos forces get there in 2. Everyone in the room looks at you. You have Navy warships sitting in orbit above the city. One order brings their guns down on the Chaos push. It also destroys the hub and everyone inside it. 40,000 people, but if you don't give that order, the northern line collapses, and you don't lose 40,000 civilians, you lose the millions of soldiers holding the rest of the war zone. You think about it for 4 seconds, then you give the order. The room doesn't react. The Vox officer relays the coordinates. The guns fire. The number updates in the next morning's briefing. You read it, you move on to the next item. Level 5, the Lord General Militant. 35 years in, you're 51, you haven't been near a battlefield in 11 years. You have Juvenet treatments now, anti-aging therapy reserved for the highest Imperial ranks. Your body's 51, it doesn't look like it. You'll be doing this for another 30 years minimum. The job at this level isn't military, it's political. The High Lords of Terra, the council that runs the entire Imperium, sends you directives. A sector is falling to chaos and they wanted hell. You have 3 army groups nearby, but 2 are already fighting other wars. Pull them and those wars are lost. Leave them and the sector falls. You pull them, file a report, and move on. Those other wars are now somebody else's problem. Planetary governors send delegations begging for guard regiments to protect their worlds. You have 200 worlds on the list and enough regiments for 20. You pick 20 and go home for dinner. The other 180 worlds figure it out themselves, or they don't. A Space Marine chapter master flies to your office to plan a joint operation. Space Marines are the Imperium's superhuman warriors, gene-engineered soldiers who answer to almost no one. He expects you to walk in and set the terms. You tell him his plan exposes your flank and you need 48 hours before anything moves. He's not used to being told to wait. He waits. The operation succeeds, the after-action report credits the chapter. You file it. There are always more items. And that's every rank, from the kid pulled off a Hive City street because a quota needed filling to the general redirecting of army groups from orbit. The Astra Militarum doesn't promise you survival, it doesn't promise you purpose, it takes you, uses what it can, and replaces you when it's done. That's the list. Which one do you think you'd survive with your mind still working, even a little? Drop the one you fear the most in the comments. The 41st millennium has endless ways to suffer, and we've barely scratched the surface. Thanks for watching, and remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there's only work, and the work is hell. Hit subscribe for more 40k, and thanks for watching.